The Houston Rockets have the most promising young group of players we may have ever seen in the NBA. But right now, they've lost to the Golden State Warriors and are bounced in the first round as the 2 seed. Look, we've seen the Grizzlies try to run it back with the same squad. Never works. The Utah Jazz did it with Rudy and Donovan Mitchell. Never worked. The Rockets need to do these things right now to become championship level team. You cannot keep the same team together and expect to win. So you already saw the thumbnail, so we're jumping right into it. We're not wasting any time. James Harden needs to come back to the Rockets. Under no circumstance should the Rockets go into next season without James Harden on the team. What have we seen from the Rockets team? They need scoring, and they also need someone that can play true point guard, someone who can actually divvy up the ball to all the playmakers they have. James Harden fits this role perfectly. Obviously, he didn't shoot the best in his series, but James Harden had one of the better years of his entire career at 35 years old with the Clippers. Him moving back to the Rockets with the experience he has, his new passing ability. He is an insane, remarkable passer. Him dishing it out after driving with his left hand to Jabari Smith Jr. to Thompson. You've got Sengun there. You've got other guys potentially on this team based on some more moves that I believe that they should make. I think that James Harden to the Rockets honestly makes too much sense. Now, what would this trade look like? Obviously, I don't really know. But I imagine that the Clippers want to get younger and also need scoring. So I think that maybe all the Rockets would have to give up is Jalen Green, potentially a pick, or maybe you do Jalen Green and Cam Whitmore. Cam Whitmore kind of losing minutes there in rotation because there's just so many players that the Rockets have. I'm not sure if Cam Whitmore will really ever see the court with the Rockets' current roster. So sending Whitmore and Jalen Green to the Clippers for James Harden and maybe a guy like Kobe Brown or maybe Christie, who has a lot of potential as well on the Clippers, would be a fantastic trade for both teams, to be honest. The Clippers get younger, they get better on defense at the guard position, and then Jalen Green has untapped potential. Maybe Ty Lue can get in there. And then James Harden, of course, is an established three-point demon. Has been a fantastic passer this past season, and his defense, while he gets picked on, he tries, and that's all you can ask for if you're Ime Udoka, who will get the most out of him. Don't stress. He'll get the most out of him on defense. So another move that I believe the Rockets need to make, let's get the boring ones done. Re-sign Steven Adams. You need to bring him back. Him and Sengun on the court together makes rebounding on them incredibly difficult. We saw how hard it was for the Warriors. Obviously, the Warriors are small, but every team struggles when Sengun and Steven Adams are on the court together. So you got to bring him back. His rebounding is just too important to this team, and already with their lack of ability to score on offense, they need all the offensive rebounds they can get. So re-signing Steven Adams, number one. Number two, you let Fred VanVleet walk. So with James Harden coming in, you got to let VanVleet walk. You don't want those two as your backcourt. There's going to be no defense, too small. And I don't really like the fit with those two. VanVleet's asking for too much money. You can't pay both of them. I don't know what he's actually looking for. Maybe he's not asking for too much, but he has a team option. Don't pick it up, Rockets. It's like $40 million. Get James Harden. He'll be cheaper. Obviously, he may want an extension if he's going to come back or if he's going to get traded there. So you might have to do another 2 years for another $60 million, maybe $70 million. Around that number there for Harden, but that's completely reasonable because you want to win championships, and it wouldn't derail your chances to win a chip getting rid of Jalen Green in a first-round pick. You still have a ton of assets for later, and you have a ton of young pieces, so going all in for 2 years would not ruin the process if they can't win one. So, re-sign Steven Adams and decline Fred VanVleet's team option. And then we've got another trade. I say you move off of Dillon Brooks. I know he's helpful to their culture. He brings a lot of energy to the team, an energy that they definitely need, but an energy that I believe Thompson can bring to the team, which means Dillon Brooks, you are not needed here anymore. It was hard to find a suitable trade partner. There's a couple I came up with. Maybe the Hornets would give you Josh Green and a first-round pick, but I think a better option would be send him to the Kings, who need to establish a tougher culture in Sacramento. Obviously, they're a soft team. Everybody views them as a soft playoff team. But if you got Keon Ellis, you got Dylan Brooks, you got DeMar DeRozan, you got Zach LaVine, you got Sabonis, you got a lot of dogs in that room. Obviously, Sabonis may look to get traded. You got to trade LaVine or DeRozan, one of the two. But those guys would be fantastic alongside Dylan Brooks, who brings in that tough guy culture that the Kings need if they want to compete in the West. So what would the Kings have to give up to get Dylan Brooks? I think the perfect move for the Rockets would be go ahead and get Malik Monk. Malik Monk to the Rockets provides that instant spark that the Rockets need off the bench, or at least some sort of offensive scoring off the bench. And if they really want to, they can start Malik Monk with James Harden and really create an elite guard duo. I don't really love Monk's defense, but if they want to go those two, that'd make perfect sense. But Dylan Brooks for Malik Monk and maybe a second-round pick, I think is fantastic for them, considering all the young players they have in Dylan Brooks' position, like Cam Whitmore and Thompson, if they don't get rid of Whitmore. They have guys that can fill in that small forward role. So get rid of Dylan Brooks, Rockets, and go ahead and get yourself a guy like Malik Monk to give you some offense, because you just can't score. And Malik Monk will go get offense by himself. So with this being said, a couple of these moves, it might save you a couple $1 million, but it's important to re-sign Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason, or should I say extend, not re-sign. Make sure you have those guys locked down for the future, because those guys are some fantastic power forwards that will continue to develop in Houston. So the last bit of this to rebuild not really rebuild, but make the Rockets finally championship contenders, there's a couple free agents I want them to go sign. Number one priority, if you get James Harden and you get Malik Monk, go get Malcolm Brogdon, former sixth man of the year with the Boston Celtics. Malcolm Brogdon can also dish it all he wants. When you got two guys like that are incredibly smart with Harden and Brogdon, the ball movement is going to be ridiculous with the Rockets. And when I watch the Rockets, I think the ball movement is a little bit subpar, aside from when it gets to Sengun's hands, but that takes the workload off of Sengun. If you have those two making some passes as well, maybe the defense won't suffocate so much onto Sengun. There won't be three guys on him when he's looking to make a pass. Instead, you got three guys that can make passes. I like that much more for the spacing of the offense and for just the ball movement in general. So go get Malcolm Brogdon. Now you're looking at a starting lineup of potentially Malcolm Brogdon, James Harden. You got Thompson, you got Jabari Smith Jr., and you got Sengun. And then, of course, you could maybe slide Monk in the starting lineup if you want. Steven Adams can play power forward. There's tons of different moves you can make there. You got to go sign one of the next three guys. I think you got to go get Dorian Finney-Smith, Bruce Brown, or Nicholas Batum. Now, I think Dorian Finney-Smith and Bruce Brown may be a little bit out of their budget, so if you could go get a veteran in Nicholas Batum, similar to how you have Jeff Green, but you actually play Batum in those minutes where maybe Tari Eason doesn't seem to be ready, you want to have a guy that is ready. We saw Nicholas Batum. He is fearless. He is unafraid. He will go at Jokic. He'll play elite defense on whoever he needs to play, and he will knock down open threes. And on this team, he will get open threes. That's exactly what the Rockets need. Somebody that can hit open threes. Tari Eason, I don't know if he's that guy. Jabari Smith, he can create his own shot, but he's not as reliable of a shooter as Nicholas Batum is, in my opinion. Obviously, Jabari Smith more of a volume shooter. I like Jabari Smith more. He's a better player. But if you have Nicholas Batum coming off the bench, or if you need to start him at the last 2 minutes of a game, when it's a close game, he's the guy that you can go get, and it won't be too expensive. So adding Nicholas Batum and Malcolm Brogdon, more veteranship to replace the guys you lose in Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, sounds fantastic to me, and you won't have to pay extra because you're the Houston Rockets anymore. Players are going to want to come there now that they're good again. So those are really the moves I'd make. The roster, again, now would look like Malcolm Brogdon and Reed Sheppard as your point guards. Your shooting guards would look like James Harden and Malik Monk. Your small forwards would be Amen Thompson, and then you'd have probably, maybe you use your first-round pick on that, or maybe you say Nicholas Batum's a small forward. Then your power forwards would be Jabari Smith Jr. Oh, wait, and small forward, you get Cam Whitmore. For power forward, you got Jabari Smith, Tari Eason, Cam Whitmore, and then centers, you got Sengun and Steven Adams. Finally, I just want to throw this out there at the end of the video. Something to think about, Houston Rockets. Maybe the most realistic thing I can see happening is if they don't make any of these moves, let's say none of them happen, maybe you don't want to sign Malcolm Brogdon, but you still want to go all in with James Harden as your shooting guard maybe. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I can 100% see the Rockets saying, we don't need this top 10 pick that we're going to get from the Suns this season. Let's trade it to someone that would use it and go get a starter. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Rockets made some sort of package centered around that top 10 pick and Cam Whitmore to go get a star. Maybe just the first round pick. You could get Drew Holiday from the Celtics. Oh, Drew Holiday on this Rockets team would be fantastic, especially with James Harden. That one specific with James Harden. Maybe you go get Mikal Bridges to be your starting shooting guard slash small forward from the Knicks. I don't think a first round pick would be enough. The Knicks would obviously have to send more. Maybe Deuce McBride, maybe OG Anunoby, something along those lines. But watch out for the Rockets to trade that top tier pick to a team like the Celtics, the Knicks, a team looking to move players off the books, save some money. But aside from that, those are the moves I would make if I'm the Houston Rockets to become finals contenders next season. Let me know what you think in this one. What do you want to see the Rockets do? And do you want to see me break down another team next? Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, y'all.